I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, they got their jerseys retired at the University of Colorado. Um, I don't really have a problem with it because obviously Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, all the other awards and what he accomplished. Um, People may have skepticism about Shador Sanders only because they feel like it's because of nepotism, because he is the son of Deion Sanders. But if you look at what Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders have meant both on and off the football field, what they have done for the University of Colorado, because before their arrival, as well as Deion Sanders, how many games did they win? Like in what, 2022? Like what, one game? And for them to turn around Colorado, particularly the atmosphere, I mean, you're getting guys there to watch the games. You're getting Stephen A. Smith, you're getting Shannon Sharp, you're getting The Rock, you're getting Pat McAfee, you're getting a lot of people coming to Colorado. So do I necessarily have a problem with Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter getting it, having their jerseys retired? No. Travis obviously is more accomplished. So, yeah, the argument is made for him. As for Shador, no, I don't think it has to do with the fact that he is Prime's son. I also think it has to do with the fact on what he was able to produce, which is why, champ, I still believe that if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I better go draft a quarterback because Derek Carr, and I know Grant, they have to draft Shador Sanders because Derek Carr has been reported the shoulder injury. Do you want to deal with Derek Carr? Do you want to deal with Derek Carr? Do you want to deal with Spencer Rattler? I mean, they have Ben DiNucci on the team?
Mm-hmm.
So Kellen Moore is also in his first year as a head coach. So I think, to me, I mean, look, first year head coach, you got to go with a young quarterback. But anyway, back to Shador and Travis Hunter. Considering what they've done on and off the football field, their attraction in terms of what they meant to college football during their time, I have no problem with it. What says you, big homie?
Um, Number one, people are going to start, especially certain reporters, and I would not mention their names at all because you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be mentioned on this platform at all. Certain reporters are going to say about Shador and Travis Hunter, their numbers being retired. Well, they didn't win a national championship. Do you know how many players have had their numbers retired and they didn't win a national championship?
A lot.
Yes. And the sad thing about that, let's go back to Tennessee. Do you know Peyton Manning got his number retired, but the person who won the national championship, T. Martin, he didn't?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm gonna say that one more time for the peanut gallery out there. Did you know that Peyton Manning did not win a national championship at Tennessee? His number's retired is in the rafter. T. Martin's number, the person who won the national championship the year after he left, his number's not retired. So all of this hoopla about, well, he didn't win the national championship, neither did Peyton Manning, but the guy who won, his number's not in the rafters at this point. Ron Simmons didn't win a national championship. His name is in those rafters. So there's been a lot of situations where a person who didn't win a national championship, their number's in the rafters. And there's been a lot of situations where the person who didn't win, who won it, their number's nowhere to be found. So let's get that on out the way, number one. We've seen it. So let's not act like that's just started with Colorado. Number two, that wasn't Deion's call. This call was already a year in the making with the athletic director. This was the athletic director's idea. This was not Deion's idea. Not to mention this, Deion got on the phone with that national championship team that won in 1991. The Michael Westbrooks, the Eric Bieniemy, the Cordell Stewarts, some of the linemen on that team. He contacted them and told him he was opposed to it. He didn't want to retire their numbers, but the athletic director was very, very, on it, trying to get their numbers retired because of the notoriety and the eyeballs they bought to that school. This was not a Deion Sanders call. This was an athletic director's call. Deion didn't want it to happen. Deion didn't want it to happen. So let's stop moving goalposts. He didn't win a natty. Look at his record. Do y'all know what John Elway's record was the last year he was at Stanford? Y'all know?
Wasn't it a losing
They went
record?
6-6.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah,
So stop. Enough's enough. And he was one of the best quarterbacks to ever touch a football field at the pro level. So let's just stop with this whole nonsense. It wasn't Deion's call. Deion is not the athletic director. He's not the alumni. He's not a head. The only thing that he heads up is the football program. He's not the athletic director. And like I said, if you go around the room, you'll see that he was opposed to it. Like I said, with the Michael Westbrook, with the Cordell Stewart, he called them up and told them that he was opposed to it.
By the way, big homie, did you know what John Elway's record was at the University of Stanford?
Yeah, what's that?
20-23.
I rest my case there. So for every last one of you guys that, well, he didn't do much there. He brought eyeballs to that back to that school. Without Shedeur Sanders, we're not talking about Colorado. Without Travis Hunter, we're not talking about Colorado. This was the first Heisman in their history, to my knowledge. This was the first Heisman in their history.
Colorado.
He deserved.
Salam. Rest in peace.
Well, Rahan Salam. Since Rahan Salam, my bad. I apologize. No disrespect to the great Rahan Salam. My bad. My apologies to the fans out there. Since Rahan Salam, only Travis Hunter, and he won it playing both sides of the ball. No one has done that since Charles Woodson.
He did it at a more efficient rate too, I might add.
Exactly. And even when he won the Heisman. But the thing is, this is not the newcomer from Colorado haters. Remember when Shedeur Sanders won the best wide receiver award, right?
The Biletnikoff Award.
Biletnikoff.
Yeah, the Fred Biletnikoff Award. Remember, they said they were so against him winning that award. They wanted to give it to a guy that went to San Jose State. They wanted to get, people were so against Travis Hunter winning the Fred Biletnikoff Award that they wanted to give it to that young man who played in San Jose State. And his name is nowhere near on anybody's draft board right about now. I ain't heard about his name since. I ain't heard his name since. They said, well, the guy from San Jose State, he led the league in every statistical category. Yeah, of course. But I don't see him on nobody's draft board right now. I ain't even seen him as a third round sleeper. I ain't heard Donnie, shout out to Donnie Pitts. I ain't heard Mastermind talk about him not one time. Tell me I'm lying.
No, you ain't lying.
Every time Travis Hunter or that Colorado program has been mentioned the last few years, we always want to move the goalposts. You have in other programs where players who never won not one national championship, their numbers are not retired. But guess what? The guys who won national championship, let me rephrase that. You have guys who never won a national championship, their numbers got retired. The guys who won the national championship, their numbers are nowhere to be found. What's so sad about that? People still think that Peyton Manning won that national championship in 1999. He was already in the league. It was T. Martin. So stop moving the goalposts. Let's stop that. There's been plenty of times where someone did not win a national championship, and guess what? They ended up getting their jerseys retired. It happens. And like Deion Sanders said, if his last name was not Sanders, would you have objected to it, considering the eyeballs that he bought to the school? Like I said, these athletes, contribute more than just their play. You got to think about the economics that they're bringing to these places. Shedeur Sanders and Colorado alone was responsible for over $100 million for that economy, for that community. Over $100 million. And that's just on the low end. I'm kind of lowballing at this point. He was responsible for over $100 million coming into that community. They were selling out games that we knew they were going to lose. He sold out. Look, Colorado State never sold out a game the last few years. When Colorado went to Colorado State to play them, they sold out.
Sold it out.
They sold out. So you got to think about not only what they did on the field, but what they did off the field. And if you really want me to be honest, Shedeur Sanders got snubbed as a Heisman candidate. That's just being real. Because he had the stats, he had the credentials in order to be up there. Hell, he won the Johnny Unitas Award. So let's start moving the goalposts. There's been plenty of guys, and I named one earlier, who didn't win national championships. Their names is in the rafter. There's been guys who won national championships for their teams in college football. You never heard about them or heard from them again. Matter of fact, when you think about T. Martin, the first thing you think about is the Brady Six.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, let's not forget that documentary. Did the ESPN?
Mm-hmm.
The quarterbacks that were drafted before Tom Brady. That's what you think when you think about T. Martin. Like I said, people still think that Peyton Manning won that national championship in '99 when he didn't.
No, he didn't. And he was robbed of a Heisman, but I'll talk about that another day.
Well, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I saw that documentary, but you know,
I stand by Charles Woodson, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah,
we can go on that another day.
Plus, see Tennessee. I don't want to see Tennessee win nothing anyway. So,
hey, I'll drink to that, brother. Amen to that.
But stop moving the goalposts. I understand that the new social media guys make the masses a little bit uncomfortable. That bravado makes you a little bit uncomfortable. It made us uncomfortable, and this is not an R-word type of thing. Read between the lines when I say R-word. This is not an R-word type of thing. We saw how uncomfortable it made people with Johnny Manziel. We saw how uncomfortable it made people with Baker Mayfield. We talked about that last week. We saw how uncomfortable it made people with even Phillip Rivers when he first was in the league. And we saw how uncomfortable it made people with even Brett Favre. So we've seen how cockiness and arrogance and borderline, that bravado can make guys uncomfortable. It's not just an R-word type of thing. We've seen it, how uncomfortable it makes general managers, how uncomfortable too much arrogance makes the masses. We frown upon it. We frown upon it. So let's not make this into something that it's really, really not. It's across the board. Remember, Barry Switzer called Johnny Manziel the most arrogant blank, blank, blank he's ever seen. So let's stop playing that card where it doesn't belong. Let's just quit and kill that noise, in the great words of MC Shan. So with that being said, they both deserve to get their numbers retired, especially Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, with him being the Heisman, he will more than likely have a statue at Colorado one day. He's a Heisman. It happens. Bo Jackson didn't win a national championship either. He won the Heisman. His statue is at the University of Auburn.
As well as Pat Sullivan and Cam Newton.
Exactly. So let's stop moving the goalposts. There's been plenty of guys who didn't win national championship, who won the Heisman, who won plenty of awards, that ended up getting their numbers retired. And like I said, Colorado has not had anything since Rahan Salam, Eric Bieniemy, Michael Westbrook, and the great Cordell Stewart left that university. They have not had anything as far as eyeballs on this at this magnitude since those men left. And like I said, it was not Coach Prime's idea in order to retire their jersey. It was the athletic director. And even after that, and even at the beginning, Prime was opposed to it and called up all of those players about their jerseys being retired, that being the 91 national champion Colorado Buffaloes. So let's stop moving the goalposts.
Grant or BRF, whoever wants to go.
You can go ahead,
You can go,
BRF.
Grant.
All right.
You sure?
Well, yeah, go ahead, man. You go first.
All right. Yeah, I don't have a problem with those brothers getting their number retired. I mean, you can make a case there in terms of just notoriety and impact. You can make a case they're arguably the two biggest names or the two greatest players in terms of notoriety and putting eyeballs on the University of Colorado in the history of that entire university. You can make a case in terms of notoriety. They're the two biggest names to grace that school. When you look at all the eyeballs that hit the University of Colorado, the celebrities that went to the games, just being able to just sell out stadiums no matter where they went, they're arguably the two biggest impact names in the history of that school. So I absolutely have no problem with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter getting their numbers retired. But at the same time, though, I don't have a problem with Deion saying he wasn't for it because I guess from Deion's perspective, he's looking at them like, yeah, they were really, really good, but they could have been even better. And at the same time, putting a spotlight on them and not necessarily the university as a whole, which is ultimately what I'm trying to do, which is why I signed an extension to stay at the University of Colorado. That doesn't really do me a whole lot of favors. I want the notoriety on this school as a whole, not just Shedeur and Travis Hunter, albeit they absolutely deserve it because look at what they've done for the university and their play on the field as well. Now don't get me wrong. I'll say this. Now Champ definitely made a point about them talking about the wide receiver at San Jose State. Them bringing it up to try to knock Travis Hunter. I mean, now I'll say this much though: the Biletnikoff, it shouldn't. None of them awards should necessarily be popularity awards. It should be who's playing the best football. But I will say this: Travis Hunter made an impact in bigger moments, made a lot of big plays. So I'm not going to knock him winning the Biletnikoff award for the impact he made in big time situations, helping Colorado win some football games. Travis Hunter is a hell of a player and is going to be a hell of a pro player, whoever drafts him. And the same thing with Shedeur Sanders. Don't write off, and I'm going to just say this real quick, even though the draft's coming up, don't write off the New York Giants drafting him at 3, even though they already have a full quarterback room. Don't be shocked that the New York Giants draft him anyway, and he doesn't get to the New Orleans Saints at 9. But I digress. That's a topic for another day. But I wholeheartedly agree with Champ with what he said. It's like they've really done a. It's like ever since Deion and Shedeur and Travis Hunter all showed up at the University of Colorado, it was almost like jealousy from day one. Like they knew as soon as Deion hit that school with his cachet, with his name, with his attitude, with his confidence and his belief in himself to feel like he's going to get the best out of his players, but also put eyeballs on this school, which is, Deion is just one of those guys. It's like he says what he believes what he says, but at the same time, though, he's always been the one to kind of walk it like he talks it. You know what I mean? So him going into Colorado, basically giving a promise and kind of way delivering on it, making the University of Colorado a relevant school again. I mean that just speaks to honestly it's how good of a coach he has become. Like in his short time coaching college ball, it's a testament to how good of a coach he's already become. And then with players like Shedeur and Travis Hunter having that foundation there, it speaks to their level of play. Because Shedeur Sanders, I mean, let's face it, them offensive lines in Colorado were trash. I mean, let's face it, they were horrible.
You've mentioned that
And
numerous times, Champ.
that offensive line was horrible. And the fact that he was still putting up these ridiculous numbers and putting himself in Heisman Trophy candidacy it just speaks levels to how good he was and at his time in Colorado. So I definitely, even though I completely understand where Deion's come from because it's putting a spotlight on individuals and not necessarily the school as a whole. I completely understand, and I do not have a problem with Shedeur and Travis Hunter getting their numbers retired because ultimately they would have anyway. The impact they made on that school, bringing them notoriety, damn near getting them into the college football playoff. I'm not going to. Hey, I don't have a problem with them getting their numbers retired. Ultimately, it was going to happen anyway. So I guess the AD figured, let's go ahead and get out of the way. It's going to happen eventually anyway with the impact they made. Um, so yeah, this is I think this is just one of those situations where people need to really stop talking. Like if people are definitely going to come out and say, what did they do to get their number retired? And they didn't do enough to get their number retired, and just shut that up. We ain't trying to hear you. We're not trying to hear that, because you have to look at the impact they made for that university. It's not. Yes, it's about succeeding and all that, but just look at the impact they made for that school, putting them on the map and just putting so many eyeballs on the University of Colorado. Like, I mean, and it's not like Colorado. See, and the thing with Colorado, it's not like they haven't had good teams between the Cordell and Westbrook squads to now. I mean, they've had runs. I want to say they had at least one BCS run with the old play. If you want to say old bowl playoff system, they had at least one BCS run. So I mean, it's not like they've had good teams, but it's just it was so few and far in between for them to come in and just make immediate impact. It just speaks to the level of play that they were able to display, and we were lucky enough to see those 2 years they were in Colorado. And I feel like they absolutely deserve this honor. And like all these players that have gotten their numbers retired ain't won a thing. I mean, look at us, look at me and Champ being University of Georgia fans. All the names that got retired between 1980 and before they won those last two national championships. So you ain't finna sit here and tell us we pretty much experienced that firsthand. We experienced that firsthand. The names that have gone up in basically their ring of honor, their hall of fame for the University of Georgia, not having a national championship on their resume, and there are plenty of names in other schools that didn't win championships, but have that number retired. So to those that are going to try to knock these guys down, talking about what they did and what they didn't do, y'all can save it, because I can guarantee you your favorite university got their fair share of players that are in their ring of honor or hall of fame don't have a ring to save their lives. So we need to kind of the selective outrage, the selective criticism. I think a lot of people out there that are going to bring it need to just save it before you start, even though I know it's going to come. But you really need to save it before you bring it out, because honestly, you really kind of crying over spilt milk at this point. It's really pointless to really say anything when like Champ bringing up the point. Too many players have gotten that type of recognition, don't have a national championship to save their lives, so they really need to just save it.
Grant.
No, I mean, look, y'all basically said it. Like, as for Travis, I don't have an issue with him getting retired, with his jersey retired. Heisman winner, Bolitnikoff Award winner, won the most awards out of any college football player in the last 5 years for an individual player, and I understand the recognition. I think a lot of this hate is being pushed towards Shador for the fact of just because people assume because it's Deion's kid and because they went 13-12 and that they had this record. And I can understand that. But people have to understand Colorado's situation. Before Deion was there, again, Colorado had their worst season in program history. They had just fired their third head coach in about 6 years before Deion came in. And I get it. The first season Deion was there for 3 weeks when they went and beat TCU on the road. After that, for those next 2 weeks against Nebraska, against Colorado State, when they played them in 2023, was the fourth most watched game of that entire season. Fourth. For a game that had two 2-0 teams that no one had cared about for years. And probably ended up being one of the most entertaining games of that season. Granted, they had a losing record. But then to go from that to go next year to go 9-4. And I know, look, they didn't have an amazing for standards of what we were expecting this season. Was it great? No, I'm not going to sit here and admit that. Individually, for Travis and Shador, yes. But for them to feel like, I just think this is all just another Deion hate campaign that we've been seeing all season. And so it doesn't really surprise me at this point that this is getting flack. They have put Colorado football back on the map in the sense of they have given that school an opportunity. That school has received millions of dollars. That school has become there's funny fact. I was actually looking this up. Ever since Deion became the head coach after this, I think it was last season, their tuition rate or their acceptance rate doubled at the University of Colorado. They have put a name on that university. And yes, while people want to put statistics and stuff out and say, oh, if you have this record, if you have this stat, I always base retiring numbers on this. What was your impact? What did y'all accomplish in those years there? And what was the overall legacy? And I think they have developed a legacy that can put them in that conversation of why they should have their jersey retired. Because, there may be another quarter. Because, again, Travis was the first Heisman candidate since the great Rashad Salam, may he rest in peace, and played on both sides of the ball, which we haven't seen since Charles Woodson. And Travis played it more efficiently than when Charles won it. And I mean that respectfully, but there's a reason why he was one of the best players in the country last year. And I just think, again, and we've kind of really stated it at this point, so I think what I'm saying is just repeating the same talking points. This is just another Deion hate campaign. And I think at this point, the people who are out there trying to get their last complaints that are just, because I'm telling you, once they leave and he's still there, it's going to be the same conversation we have in another month. So I'm not surprised by it. I just think it's another schmear campaign. So, and I think it's a justifiable, and congratulations to both of them, because that's a great accomplishment for them to have that and be remembered in history.
Yeah, especially all of us, we echoed. I mean, not just on the field, but also off the field. And the fact that you're getting big time recruits to actually come to Colorado. You're also getting transfers to also come there as well. So you're changing the narrative. You're changing the culture of Colorado. So that does say something.